Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal, Salam, Shalom, Sitaram. My name is Sudhir Sandhu, and it is my inordinate privilege to call myself Darius's uncle. And on behalf of Darius' family, thank you for joining us today. You are with us at a time when our need is great. We find and we have found each step to be unsteady. Our breath has been labored. Our thoughts have been cloudy, and our eyes have been weary. So thank you for being here with us today. It was our hour of greatest need. Thank you for being here. Your love, your caring, your compassion, and your supporting shoulders have meant a lot. Thank you for sharing your stories over the past few days, holding us steady, and even making us laugh. It was all welcome, and it was all appreciated. We're here to celebrate Darius, son to Anjani and Dave, brother to Shivani, and husband to the love of his life, Delyar. And to the rest of the family, just one of our beloved kids. So we find ourselves today facing the most impossible and unwanted of undertakings, but we must. And I know this burden will be heavy, but let me start you with a story that I hope will strengthen the resolve of all of us who are partaking in and have to come up here and share stories and discharge duties for Darius. So I remember Darius was 8 years old when his grandma Barbara Hunter passed away. At her service, 8-year-old Darius stood up and delivered the eulogy for his grandmother. He was composed and he spoke beautifully. It is one of my fondest memories of Darius. So those of you who are tasked with sharing stories to celebrate his remarkable life, close your eyes and see Darius taking on the hardest task of his young life. For many of us today, this is the hardest day of our lives. I hope seeing Darius do what he did will give us strength to do what we must do with grace and love. We must try. At this time, I would invite Pandit Manguru to come say the opening prayer. Panditji.
Hari Om. Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal, Salam, Bonjour. Hey Atmao, sun lo, Shiva ji ka Subha Sandesh. Oh, my beloved soul, listen. Listen to the good news that the Lord has given us. Hey Atmao, sun lo, Shiva ji ka ye Subha Sandesh. अब वेश बदल कर प्यारे चलना अपने देश. हे आत्माओं सुन लो शिव जी का ये शुभ संदेश. That's it telling you. He's just changing his clothes now and ready to go to another destination. So, let us continue to pray for him so that he reaches his goal. Hari Om Shri Paramatmane Namo Namaha. May this Divine Lord bless this occasion so that all be well. Gananatam Giram Devim Vishtara Shravasam Vibhum Mahesham Haridashavam Cha Pranamami Punaha Punaha Dadhi Chavancha Jatena Dharani Dhara Sharmana Tatha Ganeshilalena Kriyante Tishtiyante Padhati Hari Om Shri Narayanaye Govindaye Namo Namaha Krishna Krishna Mukunda Krishna 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 Govinda Krishna 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 Mukunda Pani Krishna Krishna Namo Namaha Shri Narayanaye Govindaye Paramatmane Namo Namaha Narayana Govindaye Namo Namaha Hari Om Shri Govindaye Namaha. So brothers and sisters, this day we are here to bid farewell to one who has been with us but very short period of time. From the time I was talking this morning and he said, it seems as though in this 25 years, he must have made 75 in one shot. And this is because of many accomplishments he has accomplished. Too many for us at this time. So it is indeed a glorious moment, really, when we say we have seen one who have been with us, who has shared the moments of a life that is not to be forgotten. And so we pray that each and everyone, as we would have to follow that journey someday, that he would find peace and restfulness at the Divine Lord's feet. Hari Om Narayanaye Namo Namo Namaha Namaste Namaste Jagatkaranaya Namaste Namaste Savalok Ashvaraya Namaste Namaste Tatvai Mukti Padaya Namo Brahmane Vyadhine Shashvataya. O glorious light of the eternal Son, evermore effulgent in your glory, shine unto the beings who have served thy feet as you have given them your destiny. This day we pray that you recognize that beloved soul who have been with us and grant him compassion and restfulness. Hari Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, Panditji. I would like to call upon Darius' friend Ankit Bell and his cousin Anika Sandhu to sing a religious song, a bhajan. Please, come on up.
Namaste, everyone. We're going to be singing a bhajan. It's called Jai Krishna Hare. And I would encourage those who know this bhajan to sing along with us. And this bhajan talks about being in a time of darkness and searching for hope. And I think that we can all relate to being in that situation right now.
Jai Krishna Hare Shri Krishna Hare Dukhiyon ko dukh dur kare Jai 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 Krishna Hare Jai Krishna Hare Shri Krishna Hare Dukhiyon ke dukh dur kare Jai 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 Krishna Hare जब चारों तरफ अंधियारा हो आशा का दूर किनारा हो और कोई न केवन हारा हो तब तू ही बेड़ा पार करे जय 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 कृष्ण हरे जय कृष्ण हरे श्री कृष्ण हरे दुखियों के दुख दूर करे जय 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 कृष्ण हरे तू चाहे तो सब कुछ कर दे विष को भी अमृत कर दे पूर्ण कर दे उसकी आशा जो भी तेरा ध्यान धरे जो भी तेरा ध्यान धरे जय 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 कृष्ण हरे जय कृष्ण हरे श्री कृष्ण हरे दुखियों के दुख दूर करे जय 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 कृष्ण हरे जय 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 कृष्ण हरे
Thank you, Ankit and Annika. Everyone who knows Darius knows he was a clown, and that mischief was always ever present in his smile. But we also know he was very, very serious when it came to friendship and duty. Ram was one of his favorite deities, and there was a good reason why. And of course, Grandpa Hunter would know that. Darius was always up to something or the other. I'd heard him on the phone with you, and he had good fun, but he was always there when needed. And Darius, they say a man is measured by the company he keeps, and Darius kept good company. He was equally good company to his friends. He was there when needed, and he laughed, and he played, and he joked, and his company defined him, and he defined his company. It is my pleasure to invite four of his friends this afternoon to come share a few stories, and they are Ankit Bell, Dominic Pena, Matthew Zura, and Zachary Fontes. Come on up, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Matthew. About 3 weeks ago, I was invited over to Darius and Delyar's place to spend some quality time with them. Delyar had prepared an absolutely delightful platter of goodies. Darius poured the most delicious wine, and we enjoyed our fair share of hookah, a staple of the Darius-Matthew hangout. What I remember most about that night, though, was the walk back to the car. You see, Darius would always walk me back to my car so we could chit-chat for a little bit longer, usually about stuff that he didn't want Delyar to hear about. And at the time, I could sense his mixed energy of nervousness and excitation and even a little bit of stress leading up to the wedding, as anybody would have with planning such an event. Being his close friend, though, I had to figure out a way to snap him out of that. So I did what any good friend would do, and I push-kicked him in the side of the hip and sent him flying 3 feet away. Now, Darius was startled and stunned, and he even said, "Why the hell did you just kick me?" But he knew what was about to happen. He stared at me and I at him. The only thing missing in this picture was one of those tumbleweed things that crosses the path. So we squared up, we raised our hands, and the most intense and visible lightsaber battle ensued. This lasted about 30 seconds with sound effects before the old white tuxedo people got uncomfortable and me and Darius had to stop. He also got me in a forced chokehold that I let him get because I knew his wedding was coming up, so I'd let him have that one, and I yielded. But our battles always ended the same way they always did, with a handshake and a big hug. This was my friendship with Darius. I met him at a summer politics job many years back. We bonded instantly when we were introduced to our office in the basement of 23 Kennedy Street across the legislature. We looked at this basement with disgust and disdain and said, our mamas taught us better. So Darius got the Windex and paper towel, I got the vacuum, and we got to work. And let me tell you, within a couple weeks, we turned that office into a buzzing political war room. There were desks, computers, and even this little cool basketball garbage can thing that we created. Anytime our office would get hate mail or the resume of someone we frankly just didn't like, Darius and I would harness our inner Michael Jordan and shoot that right into the trash bin. Darius solidified this goofy friendship with me later that summer when we were door knocking. And for those of you that don't know, that's when you knock on people's door and ask for political support. And I showed up late one day, and Darius politely asked that, I knock on this particular house because a family friend lived there and he didn't want it to be an awkward situation. So of course I obliged. But what Darius didn't tell me was that there was a 150-pound unleashed, unhinged, and unhappy German Shepherd at the side of the house. Luckily, I'm pretty fast and good with jumping fences, don't ask why, and I was able to live another day. Darius, when I looked for him after I escaped that German Shepherd, I couldn't see him right away because he was on the other side of the street rolling around on the cement laughing like a little girl. And remember that forced chokehold he got me in before? I put him in a real chokehold that day and made him wish he was never born. As time passed, our friendship grew. We hung out before work, during work, after work, ate together, drank together, watched movies, talked about girls, went to football games, baseball games, and all in all, just enjoyed each other's company. We eventually arrived at some party where Darius told all of his buddies that he's inviting some gorgeous Middle Eastern girl. He seemed different with this one. He was nervous, and he wasn't talking enough, which we all know is a huge problem for Darius. And that night, he put on way too much cologne. She eventually arrived, and she was everything Darius described. She was smart, beautiful, and had a great sense of humor. But that night, there was a crisis. I was about 6 beers deep when I got this text from Darius, and it was full of red alarm emojis that some guy in the kitchen was talking to Delyar. And this was unacceptable, so we met in the hallway to strategize. As we walked to the kitchen, Darius had figured out that this gentleman was a nurse, and we knew that Delyar was interested in nursing at that time, and he wasn't really good with medical lingo, so he needed backup. When we got there, he didn't waste a second, and he said, "This is my friend, Dr. Matthew Bazura." I was a first-year medical student at the time, but my boy needed help, so I lied. "Nice to meet you, Dr. Bazura, internal medicine," I told him. And the gentleman responded, "Very cool. What hospital do you work at?" I looked at Darius, and he looked at me, and I awkwardly responded, "All of them." Whether it was that this guy felt intimidating or just felt immensely awkward at this encounter, he ended up leaving the kitchen, and we knew that we had won. It was the classic Matthew Darius pick and roll. We picked him, and we rolled him. But what I want to share is that, as the party went on and as I was doing my things, most of which I can't talk about in a public forum, I noticed that Darius and Delyar never left the kitchen that night. They stood there in the middle, talking all night, and I knew I was part of something really special. You'd think a relationship with me and my friend would suffer with something like medical training in the mix, but Darius would not allow it. On the contrary, he was an active supporter and cheerleader for my professional goals. I remember being in my first year of medical residency and having a patient of mine pass away while I was on duty, and this really rattled me. I was so angry and sad and frustrated and overwhelmed and just overall burnt out. So I called Darius that day to confide in him. I was expressing my frustrations to him, and he cut me off in his typical Darius fashion, and he asked me, "Well, how did you treat her?" So I explained that I gave her a 1 liter normal saline IV bolus with 3.375 grams of piperacillin tazobactam, the appropriate lab work and diagnostic imaging to work up her medical concerns, but he cut me off. And he said, "You didn't hear me, Matthew. How did you treat her as a person?" He went on to say, "It's not always how you treat your patients, but how you treat the person. You won't be remembered for every success or failure, but you'll remember how you treat people along the way." This is a lesson I still share with my medical students. More than lessons, though, Darius wanted to ensure I was taken care of. After I spoke with him and expressed my stresses, I got a phone call the next day from Just For You Day Spa in Regina, where I was training. It didn't take long before they informed me that my younger brother, Darius Hunter, had booked a full body massage for his older brother, Matthew Hunter. Moreover, when I went to work that day, my colleagues seemed shocked when I arrived. They stated that they thought I had called in sick because I had really bad vomiting diarrhea. Of course, Darius did what Darius did and played his move. Anyways, I went for the massage, and when I arrived, there was a 300-pound, very hairy man named Bernard. And then I knew I'd fallen victim to another Darius prank trap. But to be honest, it wasn't all bad. Bernard's hearts worked absolute magic and got all those knots out. That being said, Darius' sage wisdom didn't come without a price. As I became more advanced in my medical studies, he saw an opportunity to acquire the expertise of a personalized physician. He'd regularly ask me about his irritable bowel syndrome, thinking that my expertise outweighed the expertise of his multiple decade experienced family doctor. Darius provided excruciatingly descriptive and details about this and provided sound effects and yes, even pictures sometimes. But he was so happy with my care that it'd only be a few weeks to months before I'd get another patient by the name of Shivani Maharaj Hunter. She had privately messaged me her medical concerns once, twice, 3 times, again, and yet again. And unbeknownst to me, I'd been crowned the unofficial Maharaj Hunter personal family doctor, and it was lovely. As lovely as it was, though, something more lovely happened. Darius started a new chapter in his professional life as a law student. I can't even begin to describe the pride and joy he took in being part of the legal community. Of course, I had no idea what was going on, like ever, but I wanted to be a good friend. So I started watching the TV show Suits on Netflix to get an understanding of the basics. This sort of annoyed Darius, though, because he would always say, "Suits isn't real," and I should be watching Law & Order instead. But it was so old and boring. It didn't take long for Darius to describe the Law Boys to me. And to be clear, it's not spelled B-O-Y-S, it's spelled B-O-I-I-I-I-I-S. We often got into heated arguments about who partied harder, medical students or law students, but after listening to Darius' stories, I came to the realization that medical school was simply harder and more professional, and therefore our people can't party as hard. He was so proud of his law group, which he described as the gang that couldn't shoot straight. In all his pride, joy, and happiness, I too felt like I was part of this group, living the experience with him. When it came to my friendship with Darius, he was undoubtedly the king of pranks. However, the worst prank he ever played on me was most recently. He asked if I wanted to speak at his wedding, and I politely declined. He and I both knew I had a phobia of public speaking, and to be perfectly honest, it's something I've been working on my entire life. He was gracious enough to give me a pass that day, but distinctly said, "I'm going to get you one of these days." And to my absolute horror, I didn't think it would be speaking at his funeral. Darius, it was just a few days ago that we were dancing down the stairs, and I was fixing your boutonniere, taking photos, and drinking celebratory cherry vodka shots, eating sushi, and throwing you into the air with all your friends celebrating the loving union between you and your life partner. We were supposed to play golf together because, according to you, that's what doctors and lawyers do. We were supposed to go on boring married double dates, supposed to be each other's kids' cool uncles. I was supposed to be your doctor, and you were supposed to be my lawyer. We were supposed to enjoy that camping trip we always talked about, but now you're gone. And I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm hurt. I feel a soul-crushing loss. I don't understand it, and I hate that I can't understand it. But I'll trust in the divine right now and lean not on my own understanding. I'll trust the universe. You taught me best. What is faith if it doesn't endure when we are tested the most? I may not get answers, but I know I have the capacity to love, the capacity to honor your memory, your family, and your friends with that love. I know that's what you'd want right now. Darius leaves a legacy of possibility. He was an architect with his words, a legal scholar, and a political mastermind. But Darius was Darius. He was helpful, he was courteous, he was cheerful, and he was considerate. Despite this legacy, his true achievement was his family. Mr. and Mrs. Hunter, Darius loved you with his whole heart, and he did so full pelt with no breaks. And I know on a day like this, he'd want me to say, I love you, Mom and Dad, and everything will be okay. Shivani, you're the sister of all sisters. Darius can rant and rave with you about anything, anytime, and any place. Your sibling bond was an envy to anyone who became witness to it. You had an almost telepathic way of communicating with him, especially when it came to awkward situations that warranted a good laugh or an eye roll. You will always be his baby sister. And Delyar, I have no words, but I'll try to do some justice for Darius. You were the sun to his moon, the sea to his sand, and the butterfly to his caterpillar. He loved you with his soul. And it wasn't a shallow love. It was a deep, knock the ball out of the park, fireworks flying, shooting star across the sky sort of love. His friends knew it well, and I want you to know it too. But my friends, this story doesn't have a sad ending. That's not Darius's style. There will be a return of the Jedi. There will be a new hope, and the Force will awaken. And we must remember that our ally is the Force, and a powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow. Its energy surrounds us and binds us. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. You must feel the Force around you and between you. So Darius, my old friend, we may not have had our last lightsaber battle as we thought we would, yet. So rest up, train hard. I'm sure our paths will cross yet again. And until then, my dear friend, may the Force be with you.
Hello and namaste, everyone. My name is Ankit, and myself and Darius Brahma Maharaj Hunter have been best friends ever since grade 7. I couldn't thank Darius's parents enough for enrolling him at St. Marie's School and giving me the opportunity to spend 13 years of my life with him. We instantly clicked because we were the only 2 Hindu boys at our school. And since then, we have been inseparable. Sharing together in prayers, chanting, and singing in his little prayer or puja room at home eventually transformed and became a full-fledged tradition as we got older, when we used to go to the mandir all the time, or the Hindu temple. Anytime he sang a bhajan, which is a religious song at the temple, he made sure that I was the guy playing the drums for him. No matter how qualified the other drum players were at the temple, he made sure that it was me who was playing. And I remember a time recently when the temple was already going, like the music was already going, we came a little bit late, and he kept pushing me to push through the crowd in front of everyone and sit down with my drums. And I was like, I can't do that. He's like, yes, you can. And I gave in eventually, just for him. I grew up as an only child, but Darius showed me what it feels like to have a brother. He would always brag about me and post my achievements on his personal social media, including my greatest achievement, which was successfully helping him wrap his head around high school math and chemistry courses. When I was a part of the basketball team, he would start chants during the games, yelling out my jersey number, and getting the whole crowd involved, just so that the coach would substitute me into the game and so that I would get some playing time. If I was pursuing an academic goal or a career goal, Darius would motivate me, he would support me, and he would check in with me every step of the way. He remembered important dates, he made sure to follow up, and I couldn't thank him enough for being so supportive of me all these years. I'll always cherish seeing and hearing how happy Darius was in the high points of his life. For instance, I was with him when he met his guru, Amma, in Toronto. And he was so excited after having received his hug from her that he said, "Ankit, go get your hug. You have to get one too. It's the greatest." And after that, we had a lot of fun just hanging out in the hotel room, reminiscing on this spiritual retreat. Or when he was planning his trip to India. I'm Indian, and so Darius loved to ask me questions about India, Indian culture, and how Hinduism relates to Indian culture, and so forth. And so I was his go-to guy for all those questions, whether it's how to spell his tattoos, whether it's translating things for him, and honestly, I love doing that for him. I'm so happy that he took that trip to India. It meant the absolute world to him to do that. And I loved hearing the stories that he told myself and my parents about how much he loved that trip. I'll also remember another high point when Darius told me that he's going to propose to Deliar. I remember we were at his favorite place, Arabesque, and he told me, "Yeah, I'm going to propose to her, and we're going to Hawaii." And I was like, "Wow, you're already proposing? Are you ready for this?" And the confidence I saw on his face, and just that glowing smile and readiness that I saw in him assured me that, yeah, he was definitely ready for this. More recently, I was a part of probably the highest point of his life, which was his marriage. And I remember that Darius called me the day before his marriage, and we cracked jokes for so long. And then he had his wedding, and in between the wedding and the evening reception, there was a little bit of gap time, and he messaged me during that time as well to talk. And then the day after his wedding, he also called me. And I've been looking back on those phone calls and messages and just cherishing those talks that I had with him. Darius and I also shared our low points together. Having met each other's grandparents at a young age, we were able to share when those grandparents passed away and grieve with each other. Also, whenever one of my family members or his family members was unhealthy, in the hospital, sick, we would always be on the phone with each other, and we would share some tears, and we would share some support for each other in those difficult times. I never would think that that person that I shared those difficult times with, I'm now sharing this difficult time with without him. I stand here today having lost my closest friend. Darius, I'm gonna miss always seeing your name pop up on my caller ID. Before we spent hours on the phone, doing our random impersonations and inside jokes that no one else understands, and then literally laughing till both of our stomachs were hurting. I'm gonna miss seeing your car parked up in my driveway before we shared a long ride to the temple, listening to bhajans, then going to the temple, participating in more bhajans, and then on the way back home, playing more bhajans. I'm gonna miss having the opportunity to grow with you and see you reach new heights. I have never, ever been able to relate to another person as well as I have been able to relate to you, Darius. And so for me, you're irreplaceable in every sense of that word. I honestly don't know how I will carry on with this big void or absence in my life without you, Darius. But the only thing that is giving me courage is that we made the most of the time that we did have together. I will continue to hold on dearly to everything you taught me as I cope with the void made by your absence. It was such a blessing to watch your journey from up close for the past 13 years. You accomplished so much in your life and touched so many people, and I'm so very proud of you for that, Darius. You're an absolute gem of a human being. Thank you for everything you did for me, and rest assured that your Hindu brother wishes you the best as you embark on the next stage of your spiritual journey. Om Shanti, 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 Hari Om.
You've all heard what an amazing individual Darius was and what he meant to so many people and the impact he had in the lives of everyone he crossed. I would just like to illustrate how he affected my life and the lives of his law boys. We had only been together with Darius for 3 short years, but the bonds we formed will last a lifetime. The magnet that brought us all close, the glue that held us together, the brother we gained and will forever hold as our friend was Darius. It's hard for many to understand how and why we all became so close. But in law school, we were in the trenches together. We would not have made it through without each other. And Darius, being the biggest personality in our group, played a key role in our success. I'll never forget, on the first day of orientation, I was approached by a tall, scrawny, dorky-looking kid, dressed in an outfit that would have been strongly approved of by my grandfather, and frankly, walking with a posture like my grandfather. Yet there was no lack of confidence in his smile or his handshake. "Do you remember me?" he asked. He looked vaguely familiar. "You used to supervise me in study hall." The memories flooded back of him as a kid, so excited to meet a fellow Trini. I was just doing it for extra credit. But Darius, being the person he was, never forgot it. From that day onward, we were close friends and inseparable at Robson. Well, the first thing that anyone notices about Darius is that he talked a lot. Did he always make sense? For the purposes of today, we'll say that for the most part he did. In our opinion, he holds the record for the greatest non-answer to a question in law school history. In an answer to our professor's question, he looked up from his Twitter feed and spoke for 2 minutes about everything other than what the professor had asked. But he spoke with such conviction that the professor could do nothing but nod his head in agreement. We will miss his voice. But Darius didn't just talk, he listened actively. He wanted to know who you were as a person, what your passions were, your beliefs, your hopes and dreams, your mother's maiden name, your great-grandfather's occupation, and of course, whether you've ever had hookah before. Once he knew you, he would become your greatest supporter. He would even try to be your wingman with varying degrees of success. He would do anything for those he loved. He would drop off and pick up from the airport at 5 in the morning anyone who needed it. To some of us, studying from out of town, he was a home away from home. No matter what, he had your back. If you ever needed to get something off your chest, he was there with hookah. If you just needed to unwind, he was your guy with hookah. If you haven't noticed, I've mentioned hookah a few times because Darius loved hookah. It became our weekly, if not daily, hangout. After a long day of classes and studying, it was his way of relaxing. If he invited you, he would seldom take no for an answer. It's one of the ways he brought people together. It's one of the ways on the first day of law school that he brought our group together. On the other hand, if someone wanted to do something other than smoke hookah for the night, Darius would conveniently have a family dinner to attend. Or a Bomber game to attend with his family. This seemed suspicious at first, but we quickly came to realize how much he loved his family and how close they all were. Darius was wise beyond his years. Knowing how deeply connected he was to his faith helps me accept that he's gone. Because I know he lived his life to the fullest, his heart always in the right place, and ready for his next journey. Whatever important goals he had, he accomplished. He made his pilgrimage to India. He graduated law school. He married the love of his life. It was an honor and privilege to spend the best day of his life with him. The way we will always remember Darius is as a beacon of positive energy and laughter. He was larger than life. You simply cannot picture his face without his goofy smile. Never once can I remember a time where he wasn't his infectious, upbeat self. Darius was who he was. It never changed. You always knew what you were going to get, and it made everyone around him happy. He was someone everyone wanted to be around, and today's evidence of that. Everyone here was drawn to him because of the special person he was. Being here, thinking of my friend, makes me think of a quote Darius would love from Charles Dickens' time at Oxford, a city where I was lucky to spend some of the best days of my life with Darius. It is a far, far better thing I do than I have ever done. It is a far, far better rest that I go to than I have ever had. If I had the time, I would keep you here all day talking about him. We only had Darius for a short time, but he gave us a lifetime of memories. Darius, my friend, my brother, from your law boys, we love you.
I feel compelled to speak a little bit about our time that we spent in school. I feel compelled to tell you about all of the time that we spent together, talking about our lives, talking about the things that we enjoyed, and talking about our marriages, as we've had back-to-back marriages. Darius this year, mine last. There's so many stories. And it's so hard not to try to tell you everything. But I think one of the biggest things is that we all stick around for each other after all this is said and done, and we tell each other those stories. As the late, great Ram Dass said, we're all just walking each other home. I don't believe Darius had gone a day where he didn't commit himself to those words for the people in his life, no matter what. I originally wrote those words 2 weeks ago. I had the pleasure of speaking in front of his friends and family, and today I have a similar opportunity. Although I take no pleasure in this occasion, I feel honored to speak about a man who meant so much to so many people. Darius gave us a unique blessing, as he meaningfully built so many relationships. I look around in this room and I see people that I'm familiar with and those who I look forward to growing in a relationship with over time. And these relationships that gave us so much joy while he was here with us. And now it's a vast, amazing community to lean on now that he's left this world as we know it. He knew we would need each other to get through this time. So many people from so many places with so many unique stories, keeping his mind, spirit, and memory alive forever. This is what we must do now. Darius, I love you. We all love you. Thank you for bringing us all together today. You spent 25 years building this. Now it's time that we see this through. It's time for us all to take care of each other and take care of ourselves as Darius would want us to. That is what we must strive for now, fortifying the community that he's built and spent 25 years putting together. For those of you who knew Darius as a spiritual or from a spiritual or cultural level or relationship, share your stories with us. I'm sure they're very unique. For those of you who knew Darius from when he was a young boy, please share with us. I want to get to know some of the things that I didn't know before he came into my life, and I'm sure all of you would as well. For those who had one single interaction, and I know, and all of us know, that would have been absolutely meaningful. Share it with us. No matter how brief or how small, we all want to know our friend a little bit better. This man lived an amazing life. We owe it to him and to each other to share it. He will always live on because we will never run out of stories or memories or feelings or love for this man. So let's take the time to be there for one another today, tomorrow, and every day after. Because I know of anyone here physically in this building, in any part of Manitoba, anywhere across this country, in the States, in Lithuania, anywhere his family are or his friends are. If anything ever so slightly as difficult as this occurred, he'd be there for you, and he would ensure that he saw you through. So we must do this for him. Darius, buddy. Thank you for being you. You're my guy. Always.
Thank you, gentlemen. You're amongst a very large circle of friends that Darius shared, that knew him as you describe him. And over the past few days, we've gotten to know you as his friends, and I meant it. As we knew Darius, as we see his friends, we knew what a large circle of caring that he had put together. And on behalf of Darius's entire family, I give you my undertaking that you, his friends, who have shared so much more time in many ways than we have, and knew him so much better and so differently than even some of us did, that when you need something and when you need to knock on a door, please do. We'll be there for you as you've been for Darius. You are part of our family, and you have meant so much to Darius, and we're so fond of you as a group for being such a remarkable group of caring people, and your caring extends to us. So we're a big circle of caring. Thank you for putting it that way. I just want to point out one thing to Matthew, that about that house with the German Shepherd. What Darius probably didn't tell you, I know that house. That's a liberal house. So, thank you for sharing. I would like now to call upon Auntie Sharon from Toronto to speak on behalf of Darius' extended family across the Trini universe. Sharon?
Good afternoon. My name is Sharon Maharaj, and I'm Anjani's first cousin on her father's side. On behalf of the Maharaj Siksaga families from across the United States, Toronto, Trinidad, the Cousins Chat, we extend our deepest sympathies to Delyar, Shivani, Anjani, Dave, Grandpa Hunter, and the entire Winnipeg family. I'd like to briefly share some of our precious memories and the relationships formed between Darius and our families. For the Toronto family, we had met Darius as a toddler for his uncle's wedding, but it all really began for us when Dave and Anjani decided that they wanted to bring young Darius and Shivani to Toronto for a family trip. We went to all the tourist attractions that kids would enjoy, including Canada's Wonderland. We stayed up late, ate junk food, played games, made secret handshakes, all the things that kids love to do on vacation. We even went to Gerrard Street, a place where you can find all things Indian. While Anjani was busy shopping for clothes and saris, I was with maybe 10-year-old young Darius, who was educating me on all the names of the Hindu gods as we walked by their statues displayed on the shelves. This is when I knew he was really serious about his faith and that he was a really special kid. As time passed and Darius matured into a young man, there was one main reason that brought Darius back every summer: his guru, Amma. Amma, the hugging guru, had a spiritual convention that Darius faithfully attended. We would meet up after, and he would eagerly brief us on his amazing experiences. And I agree, he tried to get me to hug Amma as well. Darius always expressed gratitude to his mom and his dad for supporting this every year. During these Toronto visits, we really got to solidify our relationship with Darius, and it was clear that he was our main connection to the family in Winnipeg. He would update us on everything. He definitely got the gift of gab from his mama and his aunties, but not her Trini accent. He had the Trini accent down to perfection, especially when he impersonated his nana and his nanny. One of my favorite Darius impersonations was when he told me how his nanny would announce that she loves all the grandchildren equally, except Darius was her favorite. I'm not sure if this is true, but there does seem to be some similarities with the boys of the family. His time in Toronto was always full of laughs and quality time. He took interest in talking and gathering knowledge from his elders and having fun with his younger cousins. We often tried to pack a year's worth of catch-up time into a few hours. There was jazz night at the aquarium, drinks at the distillery district, street food, barbecues in his honor at Uncle Mahase's. He even used his Uncle Alex's car to drive across Toronto on the 401. Nothing pleased us more than when we saw his relationship grow and blossom with his younger cousins. I'll be reading a memory from his cousin Maya and then Isaiah. Darius was one of my favorite cousins. Our love and connection was so strong and genuine that it didn't matter if we saw him only once a year. It was like we just got together a few days ago and picked up where we left off. As we got older, we were able to go out and do things with just the cousins, no aunts, and let loose. Us letting loose was blasting the song Chalte Chalte in the car on the way to a hookah lounge, and then dancing Bhangra on the way back. Darius embraced his Indian roots as much as we did, and we always bonded over it. Darius was like a big brother to us, and we are so thankful for the memories that we had together. We know that our love will last forever, and we will meet again when the time is right. And now for Isaiah. Darius was still, and still is, an inspirational being to us all. He always knew the perfect time to crack a joke. Thankfully, I was fortunate enough to visit my Winnipeg family, and it was Darius who always took time out of his day to spend with me. Whether it be enjoying ourselves at the Winnipeg Film Festival, relaxing at the Cross Rivers while enjoying some gelato, or spontaneous drives with all the cousins, our time was always special, and I am grateful for the chance of sharing these experiences. Journey peacefully, my dear cousin Darius. You will be missed, but never forgotten. Isaiah, Auntie Asha, Uncle Pinke, Auntie Rose, Amanda, and myself were all blessed with the opportunity to meet the love of Darius's life, Delyar. Years ago, Darius had shared that he met Delyar and that he couldn't wait for us to meet her too. He said we would love her, and he was right. Delyar, you are spectacular. Darius glowed when he spoke about you. Thank you for loving him. Although Darius had not yet visited Trinidad, Darius had gained quite the reputation with the family for his practice and his knowledge of Hinduism. His Aunt Nisha from Trinidad sent this message. The Bhagavad Gita states, everyone has a particular relationship with God, and that relationship is evoked by the perfection of devotional service. I remember that quote as my dad, Uncle Aina, used to say he was so proud of Darius for following the teachings of the Hindu faith, and he really wanted to meet him so that both of them could have shared their learnings. Faith, family, friends, connections. Darius, we thank you for being such a light in our lives and in the world. We love you.
Thanks, Sharon. So that was the cousins chat group. Let's move on to another group of cousins who have all shared. When I said Darius was just one of the beloved kids in the family, this was the group. So I'd like to call up Anjali, Antara, Annika, Tamir, and Anya to share a few words.
When I was a kid, I wanted to be just like Darius. I looked up to Darius as my cool older cousin. Looking back, I think I would actually say he was my incredibly nerdy older cousin. But still, every nerdy thing he did, I wanted to do too. And I know every nerdy thing Darius did probably came from our older cousin Vishnu. I remember after my first debate tournament, Darius came over and tried to encourage me by looking over my not so impressive score sheets and saying, these scores are super subjective anyway, Annika, don't worry. So I kept going, and I got better, mostly because he made me feel certain that I would. When I ran for student body president in high school, I of course went to Darius for advice since he had done it a couple years prior. He took me out for hookah in true Darius fashion, as every single one of us has mentioned, and explained to me the complexities of high school politics. The whole time he was cheering me on and making me feel certain that I would win. I believe that Darius left this world because he had nothing more to learn from it. And though his soul has moved on, we continue to learn from him. Just a few months ago, I started getting consistent texts from Darius telling me I needed to learn budgeons for the future of our family. I didn't understand what he meant, but it didn't feel unusual for Darius to text me something like this because he often tried to rope me into the things that he was interested in. He was insistent and pushy. He even sent a text at one point that said, "I would like to help you to learn budgeons so when I die, someone can sing." Looking back on it now, I think Darius' soul was preparing for his departure. I think without consciously knowing it, he was trying to take care of our family one more time before he left. Darius, you will be missed everywhere and all of the time. I'll miss you every time we're at a big family event, and I have to make the small talk on behalf of the cousins because you're not there to do it anymore. I'll miss you every time Shivani and I watch a horror movie and you're not there to run up the stairs muttering prayers in fear. I'll miss you every time there's a federal election, one coming up, and you're not there to argue with me about candidates and party policy. I'll miss you every time I don't think I can do something and you're not there to tell me that I can. But I want you to know, you did take care of our family, and you taught us how to take care of each other. We know how to make the small talk now and sing the budgeons. We'll be okay, and I know you are too.
I remember all the kind, generous, and loving times with Darius. He had a way of being spiritual, wise, and humorous all at the same time. I remember his funny jokes complete with accents and impersonations. But most of all, his meaningful moments full of love. One small example that illustrates how Darius supported me and helped me get through a difficult moment in life was as I prepared to sing at my Ajah's funeral. Darius took me aside to practice and cheered me on as I sang Edelweiss in front of him. I looked out to the audience later as I sang at the funeral and saw his beaming face full of love and support and his thumbs up. He was always there time and time again to hold us up. He was an amazing cousin, and we will always miss him forever.
My cousin, just a couple months older than I, my childhood best friend. I'll never forget you because forgetting you would mean forgetting the first decade of my life. My childhood was its entire own lifetime, and I'm grateful that for the majority of it, it was you by my side. That lifetime, those memories, that bond will live in my heart forever, as they help make me who I am today. I remember a few days ago, I was over helping with some tasks, and you and Auntie A were trying to figure out some seating details. I heard you say something like, "Mommy, we don't need more reserved seats. Most people don't reserve seats for their cousins and aunts and uncles. Our family's just extremely close." I replied simply with, "That's true," because I had to have his back, and also because it was true. I never considered a life on earth without you, but like you said, our family is extremely close, and for that, I still won't consider this life on earth without you. You live in each of us, our hearts, our memories, our knowledge, and our prayers. We love you.
Darius was my cousin, mentor, my best friend, and like an older brother. Darius was always there for me and would often remind me, no matter where or when, call him if I needed anything. And I tested that, whether it was calling for a ride at 3 a.m., crashing at his place, or just tagging along with him and his friends. Darius always made sure that I was taken care of. I will always remember our late night talks at Arabesque, his ability to talk to anyone about anything, the 80+ hours we spent on COD, our cabin trip, late night study sessions, and the countless amounts of advice he gave me. Advice from Darius was not just the words he told you. I've learned so much just from watching and being a part of his life, as I'm sure all of you have too. As an example, during our time on COD, Darius showed me, you don't always have to be good at something to enjoy it. His faith and devotion was inspiring to all, and started me on my own journey of spirituality. He was driven like no one I've ever seen before, always pushing me to study more during exams and constantly checking in during the school year. It is very hard to find positives in a situation like this, but I feel I wouldn't be doing Darius justice if I didn't try it. Personally, I'd like to celebrate all the accomplishments that Darius achieved and all the good that will come from the people here today. His faith, determination, academics, and selflessness was truly inspiring to all. I know that just through knowing him, all of us are better people and will accomplish great things thanks to him and the lessons he taught us. Darius, today I feel no sadness for you, only pride. I feel pride that such a great soul ever existed, pride for all that you accomplished, pride for those of you who've helped, pride in your unwavering faith, and I am honored to have been a part of your life. I will love you forever. Goodbye.
I was fortunate to attend law school with Darius. Darius, although you are at the beginning of your legal career, your loss is felt profoundly by the legal community. You touch so many lives, so much so that numerous firms and the Manitoba Law Students Association are providing resources to help the community cope with and navigate through your loss. Darius was passionate about the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, particularly the section that protects the freedom of religion. At the end of Darius's life, a legal issue arose, and we had to fight to defend the freedom of religion on Darius's behalf. Darius, you would have been so proud of how your friends and peers united and rose to action. Articling students, associates, and partners dropped everything to fight and defend religious freedom for you and our family, and we won. I know how thrilled you would have been to see your name on a precedent-setting case in which freedom of religion prevailed. I and the rest of the legal community are heartbroken that we have been robbed of not only a friend and a brilliant and dedicated articling student, but of the incredible lawyer you are shaping up to be. One of your peers commented, he could have been Prime Minister one day. That's the kind of person we lost. I am so proud to call you my cousin. Darius was always cheering me on anytime I achieved something in my law school or legal career. I don't think there's anyone who believed in my legal capabilities as strongly as he did. Darius, I can no longer be a lawyer with you, so I will be a lawyer for you. Every time I stand in court, you will be my second chair. I sound like Sandra Oh. I don't know why. Like my voice never gets this deep. No, I'm good. We're good. When I feel like I can't do something, I will remember all the times you proudly said, "That's my cousin Anjali." And I'll find the strength to live up to the lawyer you saw me as. There will be times when we will wonder how we can go on. In these dark times, it will be the strength of Darius's everlasting faith in God that will carry our family through. It is your gift to us. We will find comfort knowing that you would tell us that we will all be together again one day, and that we must go on for each other and for you. Deliar, you are our family now and forever, and we're here anytime you need us, and we love you. Shivani, our strong, smart girl. In our culture, you know there are no such things as cousins. Shivani has always been our sister, and this is true now more than ever. Auntie and Uncle Dave, please know that we will go to the end of the world and back for you, just as you have always done for us our entire lives. Darius, we know we'll never be able to fill your shoes, but we will support, love, and care for Shivani, Deliar, Auntie A, and Uncle Dave forever. This is our promise to you. We love you.
I'd like Shivani Hunter, Darius' younger sister, to join her cousins and say a few words.
Thanks for coming, everyone. It fills my heart with a lot of joy to see how many people love Darius and how many people love our family. I've never made a eulogy and never expected to write one for my brother anytime soon, so please forgive me if I don't do an amazing job, but I'm trying my best for Darius. I'd like to start off with a story that took place about 3 years ago on my 20th birthday. My friend Skylar had held a party for me, and of course my brother and all of his friends were invited as well. Those who know the relationship I have with my brother know that his friends are my friends and vice versa. For an example, Darius even invited me to his high school graduation party full of 18-year-olds when I was only 16. In which case I got absolutely obliterated and he didn't tell my parents at all. But anyways, for this 20th birthday party, I decided to try out something fun called psilocybin, or as some of you may know, mushrooms. I told my brother because I told him everything, and he thought it was cool because Bhagwan Das did that a lot in the 70s. So in which case it was morally acceptable. At one point in the night, I was seeing auras, which is a spiritual energy field that surrounds a person. It was the first and last time that's ever happened to me in my life, but something really interesting happened that stands out to me now. Everyone around me had an aura that was either red, which means passionate or ambitious, orange, which is confident or emotional, or violet, which is playful and charming. But there was one person in the entire room who had a pure white and gold aura. It was my brother, who was notably very drunk on absinthe, a specialty of his. All jokes aside, a white aura is known to be connected to the crown chakra, meaning purity, oneness with the higher self, self-mastery, spiritually motivated, and the knower of cosmic wisdom. Gold, meaning someone who is globally minded and highly talented. I hadn't researched anything about auras until the next day when Darius reminded me of how sick it was that I could see them. I always told him that his aura meant comfort, but after researching more, I was amazed to know that my brother, the only man in the entire room filled with 50-plus people, was so connected to the universe and so inevitably connected to higher realms. Even if that was just a fluke, and perhaps I had just ingested one too many fun fungi, Nobody can doubt the absolute dedication and loyalty my brother had towards his faith and his important position in the universe. The constant thing in his life that everyone turned to him for was spirituality. And I don't think that Aura was lying to me, because Darius was indeed a pure soul, a knower of cosmic wisdom, and the most spiritually motivated and faith-driven person I knew. As a kid, I would spend a lot of time with my brother. We would bike ride every day, make up stories in our backyard, and yes, he would even play dolls with me. One of the games notably being the Max Steel and Chelsea game, where his action figure, Max Steel, was the esteemed father and major political figure of my Polly Pocket doll, Chelsea. We would play that game for hours, and he would never get bored, which I still don't understand to this day. My family had a joke that I copied everything my brother did as a child, and I kind of tried to do the same as I grew older. I still continued to see him as my role model. He made it through high school seamlessly, he got through undergrad without a scratch, and he got into his dream faculty of law school, and he graduated from that too. I, on the other hand, had a bit of a more difficult time going through all those things, but my brother was there every day to help me get through, whether I needed a shoulder to cry on, a confidant, someone to help me get over writer's block, someone to bring me back to reality, someone to get me out of bed to face another day. Darius would be there telling me, "Come on, Shivy, you got this." And Darius was and still is so perfect to me, and I don't know where I'd be today without him. I got to make many memories with Darius on vacations, most of which was with our parents. In Hawaii, I remember getting absolutely mangled with him in the city while my parents were at a luau. I was super paranoid, and of course, Darius was extremely suave at the bar, making friends with all the surfers and everyone who stepped foot into the building, even though we were underage. As I was finishing summer classes in Denmark and he was finishing summer classes in Oxford with some of his law buddies, we decided to meet up in London for a bit to visit family and explore, and I'll forever cherish that trip as we fully geeked out and went to platform 9 3/4 to visit the famous Harry Potter exhibit. I'm probably rambling now, but I'm forever going to miss my best friend, my movie buddy, my travel buddy, my mentor, my refuge, my hero, the one who knew all my secrets as I knew his. I don't know how I'm gonna spend the rest of my life without someone else quoting cheesy movie lines with me, or busting out random Harry Potter lines, or helping me get through school, or breaking into corny Indian dance moves, or looking at each other telepathically across the room trying not to laugh during inappropriate times. I feel like a part of me is missing, but I know that I have my guardian angel now looking down on me. I just want to finish off by saying that in the Hanuman Chalisa, there is a verse that claims, "He who chants this prayer 100 times is liberated from my earthly bondage and enjoys the highest bliss." I know this is true for my brother as he prayed the Hanuman Chalisa every day. And no matter what anyone says, even though I wish he was still here with me, I know his soul is liberated from this temporary hell we call Earth, and I know he is so happy and smiling, and he'd want us to keep going, so one day that we can be reunited in eternal bliss. I love you, Darius.
Forgive me, friends and family, we did go out of order a little bit. It is now I would like to call upon the aunts and uncles who will be joining us, Sunitha, Vidya, Uncle Alan, and Uncle Winston.
Over the past several days, I've heard it said that there are no words to describe the pain and sorrow associated with the loss of an amazing young man such as Darius. I believe that this is true, and I also believe that there are no words that can adequately summarize his amazing journey in life or the impact he has had on all who have known him. I have been so proud over the past 25 years to call Darius my nephew. From a very young age, you could see that Darius was a special soul, put on earth to bring joy, love, and kindness to so many lives. He had immediate connection to his Hindu roots and a thirst to learn all he could about its traditions and underpinning philosophies. Following in the footsteps of my father, his Nana, Darius quickly became one of the most spiritual people in our family, often leading many of our pujas and advising us on many aspects of Hindu practices. How many young men would choose bhajans and prayers over a concert, and go on a trip to India to stay in an ashram, or spend countless weekends listening to advice from various gurus? It is clear that spiritual growth and enlightenment has been a focus for Darius from a very young age. He not only believed in Hindu philosophy, but practiced the tenets of his spirituality through his compassion, generosity, and kindness to all others. In order to continue that work, and in honor of Darius, we will be setting up a fund in his name to annually send a youth to the Amma retreat, which was Darius's favorite spiritual event I heard about a little bit today. The details will follow once we've had a chance to set it up via social media. Darius had so many other amazing qualities that made him so special. He was sociable and warm and made genuine connections to others regardless of culture and age. In conversation, he truly listened and made you feel heard, but also wouldn't hesitate to engage in a friendly debate on any topic, small or large. He was very knowledgeable and wise at such a young age. He had a playful nature and a great sense of humor. His most amazing attribute was his ability to make others feel loved. His wife, his family, his friends, his co-workers. Darius, may your soul reach the highest realms of existence, where you might learn from your ultimate guru. Thank you for all you have given us. We love you and will miss you deeply.
Alan and I feel very blessed to have had Darius as our nephew. He was always included as part of our life. I would like to share a few memories with you. One that always makes me smile is when I took Darius to Folklorama when he was 4. He was always interested in different cultures. And when I asked him what he wanted to take home from the Italian pavilion, he replied, bread. I was surprised to hear this, seeing as there were so many treats to choose from. And I asked him, why bread? And he said, I want to take it home and share it with Mommy and Daddy. And he hugged that bread all the way home, and he beamed with joy when he shared it with everyone. This was one example of Darius thinking about others before himself. There were many more memorable moments from his younger days. These included making shaving cream pictures on my dining room table, collecting and painting rocks, and making Jell-O Oreo cakes. And through it all, Darius brought smiles and laughter into our home. After many years of me including Darius in my life, as he became a young man, he included Alan and me in his. We were always invited to be part of his many celebrations. One day in particular stands out because Darius was smiling from ear to ear, and that was the day he introduced Daliar as his girlfriend. We felt very special to be part of that moment, and many more that Darius included us in. When I couldn't understand his movie banter, he would seek out Alan. He enjoyed sharing many hours with Darius, talking about and watching movies. As Alan was thinking about his times with Darius, he remembered a quote from a movie, Blade Runner. "The light that burns twice as bright burns half as long, and you have burnt very, very brightly." Darius, through his actions, always brought laughter and joy wherever he went. This was part of who he was. Darius loved to live each day to its fullest, and that included learning about his spiritual path. I remember a trip Darius and I went on when he was 15 years old to see Amma, one of his spiritual leaders. It was here I saw how much joy Darius received from learning about his religion. And believe it or not, he woke me up every day at 6 a.m. so that we could both go and take part in every moment that Amma had to offer. And that is one exceptional spiritual moment I will never forget. Darius, thank you for all the joy, the spiritual teachings, and the love you have given our family. May your soul journey to a place of eternal bliss.
There are so many things that I could say, but it's an emotional time, so I will pick 2 or 3. Darius and I shared few noteworthy things. I'd like to share 2 of these with you. First was our love for exploring different philosophies. We would often trade books, him giving me something by Ram Dass to read and then chat about later, and me giving him Deepak Chopra. I initially considered his interest a passing fancy, until one day he diplomatically corrected me on a point regarding non-dualism. This is the first time I've actually admitted to that out loud. After that day, I found myself seeking out Darius whenever I discovered a new book or article I thought he would enjoy, and I thought we might be able to debate in time. I have to say, I don't think I'll ever find another 16-year-old who asked for the book, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra, for his birthday. Darius was intent on having it all, success both spiritually and materially, and he was unstoppable in his intent on achieving both. I remember saying to my sister Anjani, "Why are you letting Darius do all these things all the time? He's just a kid. You gotta get him to slow down a little bit, or he's gonna burn himself out." Well, I'm glad she didn't listen to me, because she knew her son, and she knew what she needed to do to support him. And Dave and Anjani, you have supported him always in everything he has ever wanted. Never once, even when in your heart you were a little bit afraid to send him off to the world, to see the world, you sent him off with a prayer. He did achieve his success, both spiritually and materially, as he wanted. And most recently, he found success in finding the love of his life, Deliar. And that completed his circle. Deliar, we love you. We will always be there for you. And I think Darius gifted you to us before he left, because he knew we would all be able to make the circle stronger with you in it. So one might say Darius's life epitomizes the quote, "It's not the number of breaths you take, it's the number of moments that take your breath away." And from what I know of Darius, he has had many of these moments, whether in India watching the sunset, sitting on the banks of the holy Ganga River, or whether it was having coffee with his guru Ram Dass. The second thing we shared was our membership in what we refer to as the Firstborn Club. And we would often joke with our respective siblings at family dinners at our self-proclaimed elite status as firstborns. But for Darius, being in the Firstborn Club meant he was responsible to keep his family and his friends' circle strong. And by strong, I mean spiritually strong. Now, the third thing I will likely miss most about Darius, but I did, was for me hearing Darius say, "Auntie Sunita," in his melodic voice. He had a voice that was so sweet to me. To hear my name come from him was always music to my ears. Perhaps it was the tone of his voice. Perhaps it was his mere presence. Whatever it was, there always seemed to be music in the atmosphere when Darius was around. Darius, we'll all miss that music, but it will continue in our hearts. Shine on, Darius, and when you meet your nanny and nana, give them our love and tell them you kept the circle of love strong for them, and we will continue that on your behalf.
Delia, as you come up, know that Darius is with you. And everyone here is with you. Come on up.
Thank you all for coming today to show your love for Darius. I can't even begin to explain how amazing Darius was and how much he means to me within this short period of time, but I'll try to give you a glimpse of our time together. I met Darius 6 years ago. Like all of you, it only took meeting him once to be captivated by him. Without him even trying, I was instantly drawn to him. I was amazed that at such a young age, he was so knowledgeable about the world. The way he spoke about his passions and his experiences just captured my attention instantly. I love this about him. We balance each other perfectly. From this moment, I knew Darius was for me. As we continued to spend more time together, it became clear to me of Darius' devotion towards his faith when he took me to the temple for his 21st birthday puja. I was surprised to hear him sing so beautifully when he started to sing the Hanuman Chalisa, his favorite bhajan. I remember him closing his eyes and being in such a state of pure bliss. It was amazing to see the depth of his devotion so early on. As I spent more time at his parents' house, I realized that Darius' daily devotion began from the minute he hit the shower, turned on his loudspeakers up to the max, and blasted his bhajans. Any chance that he had, he chose to connect with God. He took me on my first ever trip to the most beautiful place on earth, Hawaii. He wanted to plan the entire trip on his own just because he wanted to make this trip magical for me. He always strived to make me happy in any manner that he could. He proposed to me by the ocean during this time, a memory I'll never forget. 8 days ago, we walked around the holy fire and our souls became one. We were blessed with beautiful weather and little white butterflies at our ceremony. Darius was so happy to see the butterflies. He said it reminded him of his nanny and nana. We danced under the stars with our loved ones watching during sunset. Once the night was over and we got into our limo, Darius looked at me with the biggest smile on his face and proudly said, Dilly, our wedding date was the best day of his life. He told everyone that he was so happy that we kept the date as August 8, our original wedding date. I wanted to move our wedding date to a later date because of COVID, but Darius insisted that we keep it as it was originally set. It's clear that the universe always intended us to be married on this day. Some other things that I admire about Darius is his commitment to his work. He was motivated to succeed as an articling student at Phillips Aiello, so he decided we would hold off on our honeymoon until he successfully completed several months of articling. This showed his commitment towards giving his best to his colleagues. We had so many plans for us, big and small. We always dreamed of our future together. That's why there are no words to describe the depth of losing my husband and the grief that I feel. Darius came into my life to teach me many great lessons. He taught the importance of patience and appreciating every second that we have. Whether it was going on a date, sitting on the couch and watching a movie, or spending time with friends and family, Darius made sure to make every second count. Darius always took opportunities that were in front of him and even created his own opportunities, especially for spiritual growth. Several times in our relationship, he flew to see his guru Amma in Toronto, which was very dear to his heart. He took classes from a Swami in California while being a full-time student with an extremely busy schedule. In the midst of his busy life, he always made time for myself and our puppy, Branu, and he named the puppy too. He made sure to kiss me on the cheek before leaving to work every morning, never forgetting once during the time that we lived together. I can confidently say that the biggest blessing in my life is Darius. He's shown me unconditional love, duty, and given me the beginning of the path towards spirituality. He has left me with amazing family and friends. I will continue to live in the way that Darius would want, with patience, love, and faith. When I see my husband today, I know that his body here before us is just the vessel for his beautiful soul. Now that the soul is liberated, I know that he is with the divine and with his ancestors. I know that his soul is full of light and happiness because he's reached what he's always dreamed of, enlightenment. I know that one day we will be together again when the universe decides that it is time. Until then, I'll have to go on with Darius in my heart and the strength that he has given me to continue on. Darius, you are my biggest blessing, and I love you forever in this life and the beyond.
I walked a while till time passed me by. I'm not lost. I've just gone on ahead. Stay a while. Love, live, and be well till we meet again. Love you, Darius, and we will see you again. I would now ask Pandit Manguru to commence the proceedings for the religious ceremony. Panditji.
May the richness of the experiences which he shared continue to dwell and accompany you in all that you do. And in times of distress, the torture will come to test the strength of mind. And the weaknesses will occur when memories come by. But remember the good things he shared. And may those be the guide of strength for you and courage, so that in situations you'll be able to say, thank you again. We cherish you. We have the strength to move on. We will have the ceremony happening a little bit now. And those who, Tamir, yeah, please come out here, and anyone else who wants to share, and we will proceed with the ceremony. And the time will help a little bit too along the way. All right. Papanasanam. O Apadarati Nityam Lalati Hari Chandanam. Om. Flowers and everything. Right. We'll say a bit of the prayer here a little bit, and okay, Bhagwan Ji for blessings also on this occasion. Om Vishnura Vishnura Vishnu Srimad Bhagavati Mahapurusha Vishnu Ragyaya Vartamanasya Adya Brahmanuri Jitya Pararada Desha Sritvara Kalpe Vayan and Derashita Vishanti Mekali Yokali Patam Charane Jambodi Peka Khande Hariya Mangam Yaprade Om Stanas Dikte Shivamukanam Mage Om Yajmanasya Mukagutasya Mukapretasya Antarishte Karma Aham Karishe, that we are about to undertake the ceremony, and at this particular moment of time in this year and this moon and so on and this day, we undertake this. And may the Divine Lord guide us in doing so. You come to in front there now, and you'll put it on there. You take flowers in your hand and so. Take this and open here. Some more flowers in your hand, and we are going to pray again to the Divine Lord. Ask of Him again for His grace and blessings. So what you do will be on His behalf too. You, the Lord who governs birth and death and destiny, Lord Vishnu Himself is the master of it all. And so we'll pray to Bhagwan Shri Vishnuji for His grace and blessings throughout this time. Om Yam Brahma Vaduninda Ruta Bhaktata Mutye Deveshtvare Veda Sangha Parakramopanishade Gayanti Yam Samaga Jnana Vastitarakte Namanasa Pasyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam Navira Surasuragana Devaya Tasmai Namo Namaha Om Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gaganasarisham Megavaranam Shubhangam Lakshmikantam Kamalanayanam Yogi Pirtyanagam Vande Vishnu Bhavavayanam Sarvaloke Ganatham. And you take care again. For that, very nice. We'll take water now and you will sprinkle on the body. So on, you and of course, Queen, you can do. And you can hold hands at the same time. Om Adya Mukha Grotasya Mukha Pretasya Nitristani Shava Nimitta Snanam Vyadiyate Taro Patishtatam. And you and go side. Very good. Namo Paramatmane Namaha. And Chandan. You know what like Chandan there? May that Chandan also flow the same and very in that way. Om Chandan. And use this finger, right, and apply on there. Om Mukha Gotasya Mukha Pretasya Nitis के मधु मयदीयते तवो प्रतिष्ठता ओम नारायण that's good as we heal that's right that's right take this again Pari in your hand again and there also again right Om Mukha Bhutasya Mukha Pretasya Pari Mittistani Shava Pari Nimittaha Mayadiyate Tavo Patishatam Straight Om Hariyo Om Anyam Mayadiyate Tavo Patishtatam Good Om Namo Brutasya Mukha Pretasya Mitistani Shava Rati Mayadiyate Tavo Patishtatam Om Hariyo Shri Narayanaye Namo Namaha Govindaye Paramatmane Namo Namaha Om Shri Paramatmane Namo Namaha Om Namo Bhutasya Mukha Pretasya Mitistani Shavaha Om Shakara Yadiyate Tavo Patishtatam Om yes, this is all over now. Okay, Kandat Mayadiyate Tavo Patishtatam Om Hari Om Parama take this. Yes, please take that. Very good. Om Shravyam Mayadiyate Tavo Patishtatam Om Mukha Bhutasya Mukha Pretasya Mayadiyate Nimitra Pushpam Mayadiyate Tavo Patishtatam No. Om Tavo Patishtatam Om Mukha Mukha Pretasya Mitistani Shava Om Nimittamadiyate Binda Harihi Om. I'll take a moment of your time again. This time we'll have a few more words and then afterwards closing prayer. Okay. Narayanaye Namo Namaha. Cheti ना कोई संदेश जाने वो कौन सा देश जहाँ तुम चले गए. चिट्ठी ना कोई संदेश. There is no more news coming from you. You don't know where you have gone. Where you have gone. जहाँ तुम चले गए इस दिल पे लगा के तीस जाने वो कौन सा देश जहाँ तुम चले गए. It's gone. The heart is there, but still we do not know where he is. एक आँख भरी होगी, the eyes are filled with tears. हमने ना सुनी होगी. Am I going to hear your voice anytime? You are not with us, but we're still expecting to. जाते जाते तुमने, and as you keep going, आवाज़ जो दी होगी. Are we going to hear from you at all anymore? जहाँ तुम चले गए, जहाँ तुम चले गए. Yes, he walked many times through the Durga Devi Mandir too, and they showed full devotion. One of his favorite, he sang many times before. ऐ गिरि नंदिनी नंदिता मेधिनी विश्व विनोदी नंदनुते गिरिवर विंध्य शिरोधिनी वासिनी विष्णु विलासिनी जिष्णुनुते भगवती हे स्थिति कंदा कुटुंबिनी भूरि कुटुंबिनी भूरि कुते. जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपादिनि शैलसुते. That's mantras which are devoted specially to Mother. This day we asked our Divine Mother, he has shown so much affection and devotion to confer her blessings so that he will be at peace. That accompanies us every moment of time. We do not wait for moments of this to only recognize death. Every moment of time, every breath that we take is also death in itself. The incoming breath and the out comes in is birth in itself of a new life, giving you more spirit. Pause a bit. And then after the outgoing breath is death itself, it never comes back. So this life is a continuous reaction of life and death. They are like brothers always working together. Death comes, goes, life comes back. And so it is. But in the process of death, we are really reminded that one day we ourselves will tread that pathway too. Kutumba Kavila Sangana Sati Kala Danka Bajaye Sadhu. Kutum, family, friends, relatives. Sangha, company, Nasati, of company. All of these will not accompany you when the drums of death sound. So this is a reminder that too in our process, in our living, that we also must do the very best so that we can make this life worthwhile, as Darius has also done in his short years. And so, because of the fact that we have that emotional way of life in us, and that we experience the sorrow and the joys and all of these things, but still it's a reminder that, look, these are all fleeting, these are all once in a while, you know. In Tulsidas is saying, Janma maran sab dukha sukha bhoga hani labhu priya milana viyoga. So when you think you have someone with you forever, it's not the case. Janam, birth, maran, death. Sukha, happiness. Dukha, unhappiness. Sabha, sabha that is all parts of life. So that hani, this is loss. Hani labhu is profit, right? Milan, your meeting of friends. Viyoga, separation from them also, are all part of life. And what's it telling us? It's telling us that karam, kala karam, bas hoi gosai, these are all controlled by time and destiny. And just like barbasa divas, barbasa rati divas ki nahi, just as the night follows the day and the day follows the night, so too death and birth keeps going. And this we must know. So nothing stands forever. No? Hadi Om, let us pray. Narayanaye Govindaye Paramatmane Namo Namah. Om Namo Vijnana Rupaya Paramananda Rupini Krishnaya Gopinathaya Govindaya Namo Namah. To that eternal master of time and destiny in the form of Krishna, we offer salutations, O Divine Lord, that this blessed soul who has been with us for this very short moment of time be blessed at your feet when he enters the pathway and reaches the goal. My beloved Lord and Master, unto thee be bowed. Hadi Om. So, in this time, the crossing from one bank to the other, one side of the shore to the other side of the shore. Bhagavan meri naiya us par laga dina. Oh my Lord, you are the boatman. Take us across. Take me from one side to the other side, my Lord. And so, Hadi Om. Because what? अब तक तो निभाया है, आगे भी निभा लेना. Until now you have taken great care of me, my Lord. I'm about to undertake the new journey. I ask of you not to abandon me, but to continue to be on my side as I enter into the world, the new world of life. Hadi Om. I know we have spent time there, so we will very quickly conclude with the closing prayer in which we ask Bhagwanji for his intervention for peace and happiness to that departed soul, or for that departed soul. Hadi Om. Govinda meri yehi pratna hai, apna das bana lena. Oh my beloved Lord and Master, this is my prayer to you this day, Please accept me as a servant unto your feet, my Lord. Mitakar yavgun sare charano mein chit laga dena. So whatever have been my faults and my weaknesses, my Lord, in my service to thy feet, I ask of you not to keep them in mind, but to accept me, O my beloved Lord and Master. Hari Om Janam Janmantar Bhakti Dena Aur Seva Shakti Dena. I ask of you that from birth to birth and as I undertake the new way of living, my Lord, I ask of you to strengthen me with devotion to your feet. And, O my beloved Lord, to accept me. Hari Om Anta Samay Bhula Na Jana Sada Meri Samne Rahna. Anta Samay, so that when the time comes and I depart from this world, I ask of you, even though it may be the case, let me not be forgotten, my beloved Lord and Master. And when the time comes that I be present before your feet, accept me. Tuto jag ka bhola na jana, meri jeevan ka tu hi sahara. So you are the ruler of this world. You are the support of my life in itself. Do not forget me, my Lord, I pray unto you. Ishvara teri sharana me aaya, teri maya kapara na paya. Thou art the master of this universe. I now present myself to you, my beloved Lord. Help me to cross from one side of this ocean to the other side. Again and again, I bow to you. Hari Om Achyutam Keshavam Ramanarayanam Krishna Damodharam Vasudevam Harim Sridharam Madhavam Gopika Valabham Janaki Nayakam Ramachandram Bhaje. Hari Om Tvamekam Sharanyam Tvamekam Varenyam Tvamekam Jagatakachi Pachi Paharchi Tvamekam Jagate Palakam Swaprakasham Tvamekam Param Nishchalam Nirvikalpam Bhayanam Bhayam Bhishanam Bhishananam Gatihi Praninam Pavanam Pavananam Mahochay Padanam Niyantri Tvamekam Paresham Param Rakshanam Rakshananam Shri Narayanaye Govindaye Paramatmane Namo Namaha. Om Namo Brahmane Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagadvitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangulang Gayate Girim यत् कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. We are all part of thee. When the part is perfect, of course the whole is also perfect. May the blessed Lord bless each and all of you here for being here today. And may that departed soul also find rest and peacefulness wherever it travels. Om Namo Paramatmane Namo Namaha. We pray together in one form for the liberation of the soul at this time. Adi Om. Narayanaya Govindaya Paramatmane Namaha. Om Anadi Devi Nidhano Deva Shankachakra Gadathara Akshaya Pundarikaksha Preta Moksha Pradopava Preta Moksha. May that being that departed soul now find liberation in its travels. Om Narayana Sura Shrestha Lakshmi Kanta Janardanam Anena Tarapananenartham Preta Moksha Pradopava Preta Moksha Pradopava. Om Shanti Shanti Preta Moksha Pradopava Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om. Thank you again. And may he find peace and rest in what it is. Wherever he goes, thank you again, Ji. And what will happen, you can explain, right? We'll have the rest in a minute.
Thank you, Panditji. Those of you in the hall with us, we invite you to make an offering of flowers. As you do, please exit back to the tent area. There are refreshments waiting. The family would like you to join, share, and stay a bit, and talk to friends and family. And we'll join you as soon as possible outside. Thank you.
Thank you again for the opportunity. Very nice, Sudhirji.
Once again, as you have, please exit this door to behind me.